In this video, I'm going over the splice options with you inside of XYZ Mesh version 9. So inside of XYZ Mesh version 9, I'm just going to copy over here a few XYZ coordinates, latitude, longitude, altitude, and we'll paste them on in so we can use this as an example. Okay, so with the splice feature, we have this over here on the right-hand side of the graphing window. However, with the splice, it doesn't really work until you convert it over into a mesh, because right now the XYZ is just in a scatter plot. Splicing requires it to be in a structure. So we're going to go ahead, convert this over into a mesh really quick. And what the splicing does, it allows you to cut off certain areas and only graph to a certain point. So for instance, if we take the X splice and we slide it down, you can see that it is cutting off the different sections and only showing you part of the slice. We can do exactly the same thing with the Y section as well. And if we want to cap out how tall the Z values are, we can also splice with the Z values. And as you can see, it cuts it down to the lowest point, or we can just enable it all the way up to the top. Now, another method with the splice, you can also go up to the graph types and you can have single values. So you can just graph single Y values or X values, and you can use the splice down here to adjust the different paths of the splice. So for instance, you just want to show one. The Y splice right here actually corresponds with the Y values that are in the graph. So the Y values are across the top, and you can see exactly where they line up at. Now, another part of the splicing is the ability to auto scale. Now, the auto scale is automatically turned on by default because this is the way that XYZ Mesh assumes that your data should be viewed. However, Excel doesn't necessarily view data like this. It automatically assumes that everything is inside of a cube. So it's exactly the same height as it is the width as it is the depth. And if you'd like to adjust this to be more like what you would see inside of Microsoft Excel, you can turn off the auto scale, and then you can just slide the slider down to where it was more closely resembled to a cube like this. And this is going to be more like what you're going to get if you export this into Excel. So for instance, export this to Excel. We're going to do a wireframe because that's what we have. And you're going to be able to see that it's going to look very similar to what we have on the right. Okay, now the reason why we have that set up in XYZ Mesh is because this is the way that it should look, or as far as what XYZ Mesh assumes that it should look like. And that way you can jump back into Excel and you can kind of adjust your image by pulling it out to better replicate what you see inside of XYZ Mesh. So if we select the graph, we can just scale it out right here. And as you can see, it now looks more like what you see. Thank you all very much. I know this was a short video tutorial, but I hope this explains a few things with the splicing and the auto scaling inside of XYZ Mesh. If you'd like to try XYZ Mesh out for yourself, the link is in the description down below. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment. Thank you all very much. Have a great rest of your day.